Hey everyone. So, it's finally time. It is finally time to start Higurashi Meakashi, which is the first chapter of the Answers arc. Before we start, for those of you watching on Twitch, since I did have an issue, like where I just got disconnected, like OBS just shat the bed a bit ago, you will be getting an ad again in like 3 minutes. I can't do anything about it. So as usual, if you want to watch this ad-free, please do so on Kick. You can just join me over on the Kick side, and I'll go ahead and link to it here real quick. Because as of now, at least for now, Kick doesn't have ads, while Twitch does. So, considering that this is going to be, again, the start of the Answers arc, it's going to be insane. I have no idea what to expect. I have no idea what's going to happen in this arc. I've only been given a brief rundown on the run times for the sub chapters, because again, we're starting chapter 5, and it has, if I recall, it was 14 sub chapters. Let me just double check one more time. For Meakashi. Yeah, here we go. It's 15. And the first 3 should be about 2 hours, just about. Which is why we started a little earlier than usual today. Also, hey Melina, thanks for stopping by. So, we did start earlier than usual, because we're probably going to go for a little while. I want to try to get through at least those 3 chapters, because it's going to be about 30 minutes for the first one and the second one. So both are going to be about an hour, and then we're going to have chapter 3, which is going to be about an hour by itself. So 30 minutes, 1 hour. Anyway, let's just jump right into it. Now, compared to the past 3 chapters, by that I mean Higurashi, Onikakushi, Watanagashi, and Tatarigoroshi. Meakashi has a new protagonist. So let's swap on over to the gameplay page here and just get this going. 1 sec. Should be good. Just make sure this is also good to go. All right. So, compared to chapters 1 through 3, where the protagonist, at least the person whose eyes we saw the story through, was Keiichi. In this chapter specifically, it's gonna be Shion, if I recall. Shion being Mion's sister. So that's one thing to note. One other thing, we did have issues last time in the Omake stream. I had some audio issues. I was able to get that shit sorted though. So right now the audio should be coming in fine, and hopefully it is, but we should be good. I'll double check the audio levels in a moment, but yeah, no, they should be fine. Okay, then yeah, let's just jump right into it. So, Meakashi, beloved cutthroat, eye-opening chapter. Oh my god. Welcome to the world of Higurashi when they cry kai. When they kai. We finally reached the halfway point. From the viewpoint of the protagonist, try to find the truth behind the tragedy that unfolds. The difficulty is very high. It won't be easy to comprehend the motive of the perpetrator. Oh boy, and this is what like is making me a little bit nervous, because it's like, what if for some reason it turns out I'm a master of deduction and I'm able to solve the mystery within this chapter? I'm kidding. That's more than likely not going to happen. If it somehow happens, then I'm like a literal genius. But anyway. Yeah, like I'm just so excited. This literally is the halfway mark. That's it. Like we're finally taking the plunge. We're taking the plunge into the Answers arc. So here goes. Start. Alright, so this arc includes choices that were added in the console version. Do you want these, sorry. These choices will result in dialogue changes and can lead to bad ends. Do you want to see these choices? The answer is no. Yeah, let's only focus on the PC version content. So that's something that I learned from last time, at least. She dropped her beads in the sand, so the girl cried. For 100 years, the girl searched the sands. They might be in the ocean, not the sand, so the girl cried. For 100 years, the girl searched the ocean. They might be in the mountains, not the ocean, so the girl cried. How many years will pass before the girl wonders if she really dropped them? Also, there is going to be an intro. Please get ready to look away if you don't want spoilers. I will not want spoilers either. So that's coming up. I'll mention it. When the spoiler comes up... Sorry, when the intro comes up, which will have spoilers, I'll still let it play out for those who want to watch it or for those who are, returning viewers. When the intro does come up, it will include spoilers. There's no way around it. By that I mean I can skip it, but I'm not going to. So, you can enjoy the music and stuff, so long as you don't speak Japanese, and I guess the lyrics don't give anything away. Just remember, there will be spoilers with the opening. Just look away. 7 keys were attached to the keychain. Without knowing which key was the correct one, I had to go by instinct and try every key, one by one. On average, I had reached the correct key within 3.5 attempts. I'd be fortunate if I could open the lock within the first 3 keys, and I'd be unfortunate if I didn't. I had to think of the worst case scenario, getting the right key only on the very last attempt. I fought with my nervousness. My head ached from it. I put the key in and turned it. I just needed to repeat that small procedure several more times, but I couldn't stop shaking. Damn. Even a 3-year-old kid can do something this easy. So, am I more childish than a 3-year-old? Whatever, I don't care if I'm clumsy. I just need to try all these keys. Even if the worst case scenario, or even in the worst case scenario, the lock will open on the 7th try. Reality isn't always the same as math. What happened was worse than my worst case scenario. None of the keys worked at all. Also, let me double check one quick thing. Here. Original, show CGs. Yep. Okay, yeah, we're good. I could feel the blood draining from my brain. Did I get the wrong set of keys? No, I definitely see a faint marking that says this set is for this door. Am I just reading it wrong? Should I go back to the key cabinet to look for the right one? That would mean a great loss of time. Just by being here, I'm already risking so much. Something that could ruin everything might happen any moment. If I can't open this lock, do I have to go back to the administration office? If there were no other choice, it'd be a waste of time to spend another second here. Also, these sounds are already way different. Like, we have, typical insect sounds. We have little cries of the Higurashi. And then there's like that weird whooshing that you can hear in the background. This would kind of come up whenever Keiichi had something eerie happen, right? Like when he would come to this realization of like, oh, I don't know, Rena is stalking me. And then you would hear the woo like sound, right? Here it sounds kind of like that, but it's a little bit more distorted. The administration office wouldn't necessarily be empty at this time. Somebody might come in. I won't be able to look for the right key if that happens. I stood up quickly as if electrified. I was almost in a panic and so felt the urge to move. My instinct pushed me. I have to go back there as quickly as possible. It's dangerous to be here, and it's also dangerous if somebody comes into the administration office. I cooled my head, making it as chilly as possible, to repress my fear. Calm down, Shion. Mion wouldn't panic in this situation. Maybe I'm just mistaken. Why don't I try the keys one more time? The next moment, I felt a faint vibration in the air. The sound. The next moment, I felt a faint vibration in the air. Somebody was walking somewhere in the hallway. If it were a normal situation, I would have known I wouldn't run into them, since the footsteps were very far away. But at the time, I couldn't think calmly. Ah, shit. Why am I panicking this much just because of footsteps? Calm down. Calm down. I should be feeling excited instead. Calm down, calm down. Just need to do what I have to do. I should ignore the footsteps because they're not an immediate threat. Pretend they aren't there. I have to listen for something much more important right now. Ah, shit. This key should be hard and cold, but it's pliable and hot. Feels like rubber. How could I stick this into the keyhole? Shit. It wasn't the key that was pliable. It's my fingers that were limp. Shit. The key sprung out of my hand and fell onto the floor. It shouldn't have made any sound because it was so pliable, but it made a tremendous metallic noise as if somebody pushed over a cupboard. Cling. The sound almost stopped my heart. I felt dizzy for a while. I looked around afterwards to carefully see if I caused any disturbance to the surroundings. Calm down. Calm down. Nothing's changed. I don't hear anything. So, am I safe? Calm down. Calm down, calm down. Wait, I don't hear anything? What about those footsteps in the distance? Calm down, calm down, calm down. Are they looking for me after they notice the sound? What is that sound I'm hearing? Is it my sweat dripping on the floor? Shut up. How could I hear the sound of my sweat? Calm down. Calm the fuck down. I have to clarify. This isn't a prison or a detention center. It's a private school. It's a new background. Okay, and very quickly, we'll swap on over to the console version. Not a normal one, though. It cost a fortune just to get in. It's a boarding school that provides education from elementary school to university. Being for girls only, rather than the school, you could say it's a factory that manufactures ladies. Some of my classmates here have never even used public transportation. Really, it isn't normal. To me, saying "how nice to see you" instead of just "hi" is already insane. And calling the teachers sisters gives me the creeps. I hate the morning and evening prayers, to say nothing of the Sunday Mass. I don't want to memorize the Bible passages, and the Holy Ghost give me a rash. If I stayed in this institution, that's what I call the place, for many years, I'd either go crazy or be brainwashed. Most of the girls choose to be brainwashed, but I can't do that. After all, I was more impressed by the political schemes and international trades behind religious propagation than by the love of God which the Bible teaches. Because of that, I've been treated as a problematic child from the beginning. I experienced lots of disadvantages as a result. I realized that quickly, so I superficially pretended to be normal. However, I got tired of acting, so I started to reveal my true self from time to time. I became a problematic child once again. People started to treat me differently once again. It's fun to misbehave, but it wouldn't do anything for me in the long run. So why did I act that way? Why, even though I knew it was going to backfire on me later on? After examining my emotions, I realized that I'd completely had it with my surroundings. I was afraid of being brainwashed in this institution. I can't live here. I won't let them brainwash me. 6 months ago, I decided to escape this place. The moment I made up my mind, I started to feel alive again. I acted ladylike in order to deceive the sisters. Pretending became fun once I'd set my goal. It gave me the creeps when they told me with smiles that it was God's influence that I started to behave religiously. I laughed at them behind their backs. I took on my classmates' duties in order to understand the layout of the school and the schedules of the staff and guards. I soon found out that the security of the school was immensely tight because there were many daughters of important people living here. The guards walked their beat randomly. There were surveillance cameras everywhere. The system that kept out intruders ironically also worked to prevent escapees. But that excited me instead. I simulated how to avoid all the surveillance in my head many times. I drew an escape route in the corner of my notes during class and tested if it worked. I strove to acquire any necessary skills for the escape. It was all fun. After all, the situation was cathartic for me. That's who I am. No matter how hard they try to brainwash me, I'd never change. I've been waiting for the moment of my escape, preparing physically and mentally. First, I needed the courage to escape. I had to be confident of the plan. I had to think deeply about it. I also needed skills and physical strength. I imagined all of the possible obstacles and trained myself. It's funny because I was finally able to enjoy gym classes, even the long distance runs. I needed a perfect plan as well as the physical strength and skills necessary to execute it. Also, supported by those things, I needed determination. I made sure that I had all I needed and executed the plan. Oh, and this is the hotel room, but I guess they're going to use it as a dorm room. I decided to plant a seed in school before the appointed day. The seed was a rumor that one of the male teachers was having a relationship with a student. I won't go into the details now, but that can turn into an enormous problem in this school. Holy shit, Shion. The school is limited to girls precisely because their parents want to avoid those kinds of problems. Those parents are mostly important people from various positions. If the romance was a fact and was leaked to the public, the principal would have to commit suicide and shame. In fact, even that might not be enough. In the world of girls, rumors spread fast, especially when they're separated from boys and are obsessed with dirty thoughts. So this kind of rumor goes around really quickly. The sisters try to get rid of that kind of rumor, and they warn the students not to be swayed by it, but apparently, they're the ones who are most swayed by those rumors. This means that I managed to make them furtively deal with something shady without contacting families or the authorities. So, if I disappeared in these circumstances, it looked like I ran away with some teacher. All the male teachers would deny it, of course. Oh my god. However, the school wouldn't believe what they said so easily. After all, there's a dirty rumor going around. By the time the school finds out about my escape, after they eliminate all the other possibilities, I'll be somewhere safe. I tried hard to spread the rumor that I was involved in the forbidden romance as widely as possible. The sisters questioned me a few times, but since the romance was something I'd made up, they couldn't find anything. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't find any evidence. After 3 months, I was certain that I created a solid foundation. I swapped after-dinner duties with my classmates so that I could adjust my schedule on this day. I was even able to fill them with suspicion about me by doing that. Now they'll definitely suspect I ran away with some male teacher. Tonight was the night. I began my chores after dinner. After lights out, somebody will find out about my disappearance. My generous roommate would probably wait about 10 minutes before she reported me to a sister, but no longer than that. I had about an hour tops, but that's enough for me. I took a step off my regular route. That was the first step towards my great escape. I calmed down and thought, the key shouldn't be wrong. This lock is old and firm. It isn't possible that I put the right one in. Isn't it possible that I put the right one in, but the lock was just stiff and I only thought I got the wrong one. I realized that my nervousness was making me clumsy. The gloves that I'm wearing to avoid leaving fingerprints must be getting in the way too. I should try the keys one more time. I picked the most probable one and gently inserted it into the keyhole. It's stiff. If I twist it too strongly, I might break the key. The moment I thought of giving up, I felt something in my fingertips. The key worked. I slowly opened the door. I could hear the crickets. I don't have to hesitate now, but somehow I'm reluctant to step outside. I can still make excuses up to this point. It might look awkward, but I still can. But if I take a step outside now, there can be no excuse. If the guards find me, they'll take me to the office immediately. There have been escape attempts before. That's not really so strange, but I don't think I'm the only heathen here. It's understandable that there have been people before who couldn't fit in this place. So the school is well aware of the possibility of escapees. I've heard rumors about what happened to those who were caught while attempting to escape. I don't want to believe any of those stories, though. You see, all the school's horror stories involve students who attempted to escape. Or who attempted escapes. Whatever. Bring it on. Oh? We're getting music. Let me make sure the voice volume is maxed out. The music is a little higher than normal. Like so. Anyway, whatever. Bring it on. I'm not expecting to get a second chance anyway. There will always be only one chance. Things get serious beyond this door. I psyched myself up and pushed the door open. A strong smell was hanging in the air. Is that normal for the outside? I never smelled the strong, grassy smell before. Is there something going on? Do I have to be wary of it? Should I go back and wait for another chance? That's silly. There's nothing strange going on. The smell is something I smell every day. I just wasn't aware of it. It's true, isn't it? Even though I pretend to be cool, I'm nothing but a nervous wreck. And then here we have a little CG of Shion. Calm down. Calm down, Shion. I can rely only on the map inside my head from this point onward. I had researched the locations of all the surveillance cameras. I'm confident that I'll be able to avoid all of them. But I'm not sure about the guards. I'm trying to see if like the crest on her like shirt means anything. But it seems to be just like a heart with a little like check mark underneath, or like a bootleg Nike logo. So probably not. Sorry. I'm confident that I'll be able to avoid all of them, but I'm not sure about the guards. They pick their patrol routes randomly after all. I have to take a chance. I could hide myself in most places, but there's an area where there's nowhere to hide for several meters. I concentrated to keep my senses keen. Well, I have to depend on my luck in the end. Even if I do my best, the guard might find me by mere chance. On the contrary, I might be able to get away no matter how unwisely I choose to move if I'm lucky. Damn. For all that effort, it just boils down to luck. This is a gamble after all. When I realized that, I got excited. Yes, this is a gamble. I'm trying my luck. This is a game to test the determination to change my life. If somebody failed to escape from this school, that meant they didn't have enough luck to survive in the real world. But I'm different. I'm going to get out of here. I'm testing my luck. Here goes, Shion. I ignored the noisy bugs and concentrated only on suspicious sounds. I heard no threats. The loudest sound wasn't the bugs, it was my own heartbeat. Even my own footsteps were so loud they could break my eardrums. With each and every step, my overactive imagination tormented me with premonitions of unexpected run-ins with the guards. Countless times that torture grew too hard to bear, and I thought of running. But if I broke into a run, the noise I made would only draw suspicion. If anyone heard running at a time and place where people shouldn't be, they would realize something abnormal was happening. But if the footsteps they heard were just walking, then they'd likely think nothing of it. Of course, I don't plan on even letting them hear these footsteps. I try to extend my senses to get as much information as possible. I didn't sense anyone's presence. It might have felt safer if I had heard a guard in the distance. I'm worried that my senses might not be keen enough to detect everything. Somebody might be right behind me without me being aware of it. I didn't want to make any noise, so I stopped from time to time. It's like I'm constantly fidgeting. To stop or to run. Something within urged me to choose from either one. I can't choose to stop. I have to keep going quickly and stealthily. I'm already risking so much just by being here. Running, of course, would be absurd. I know that. The urge to run continued to bug me. My head was filled with those thoughts as I went through this dangerous territory. I succeeded in passing through without running into anybody. I couldn't help but sit for a moment and exhale the rotten air from my lungs. My negative thoughts vanished quickly. Just a little more to go. Just a little more. Just through that bush over there is a fence that separates this place and the outside world. Once again, I strongly felt the urge to run. I suppressed that desire and carefully tackled the final step. The beautiful looking fence didn't seem designed to prevent escapes. While I was worried that somebody might see me climbing up the fence, it fortunately didn't happen. It's even possible that this fence might have a touch sensor. It's too late now. Mind you, this is probably like the 80s, so I don't know about that one. It doesn't mean anything now since I'm already climbing up. From the top, the fence seemed about 7 feet high. I have to go down carefully, just like when I climbed up. I knew that logically, but I couldn't think that way anymore. I chose to jump off with no hesitation. Of course, I regretted my decision during the fall. I got scared because the flight was longer than I expected. It didn't land beautifully. I fell on my butt, but there was nobody around to laugh, and I didn't have time to be embarrassed. I looked around to see if anybody heard my landing. Even the crickets weren't interested in the sound I made. I felt relieved. I looked at my watch. 5 minutes till 8 p.m. It was just a 15-minute escape. Putting a number to it really made it obvious how short it had been. Looking back, most of the time I was just asking myself questions and hesitating. I guess I worried too much. But I can't be too relaxed just yet. There's no guarantee that I fooled all the cameras. This place isn't a bank. There won't be a fire alarm going off even if the guards did see me. It's possible they were rushing this way right now. Can't enjoy the air of freedom yet. I hid myself in the darkness and waited. There's still time left until the rendezvous. Oh boy. Yeah, this song is really good. Imagine it was just her like dreaming all this up. Like she thought about doing all this and like she's still standing at the gate with her keys in hand. I watched the school premises while waiting, but it looked like nothing strange was going on. The building was lit up, and the beautiful Western-style architecture made it hard to believe that it was a school. It should be armed with electrifying wires, searchlights, and guard dogs like the prison that is. I thought I'd experience a surge of school memories in a situation like this, but it didn't happen. That sort of thing only happens when you have good memories. I have no good memories of the school, so there's nothing to remember. But if I could pick a series of images to recall, it'd be the luxurious dinners we had every night. So my memories would be nothing but international cuisine, Japanese, Chinese, French, and so on. What the hell? It's just too funny. I burst into laughter. By the way, do remember, at any point, the intro can play. So if the intro does play, just remember to look away, if you don't want to be spoiled. At that point, I heard a car approaching. I crouched in the darkness. The plate number is the same as I was expecting. That's the car. I jumped out and rushed to the passenger side, then opened the door and got in.
お勤めご苦労様です。シオンさん。
The driver was a man of early old age. He'd be angry if he heard me say that, though. He thinks he's still middle-aged. He looked at my face and learned that I succeeded. He smiled.
シャバの空気は久しぶり。とにかく今は銀シャリが食いたいかな。
学園では 上品なお料理ばかりが出てると聞いてましたが、シオンさんにだけは麦飯が出ていたんですか？
バカ、そんなわけないでしょ。冗談に決まってるじゃない。ほら、笑ってる暇があったらとっととアクセルを吹かす。
はいはい、仰せのままに。
Oh, this song is also really good. I'm gonna crank it up a little bit. So give me a sec. And we'll let the song play out for a moment. Kasai really did laugh out loud. After telling me to buckle up, he accelerated. The cathedral-like school disappeared from the mirror in an instant. It disappeared so quick that I didn't have time for a surge of dinner memories. Goodbye, my lovely school days. I'm gonna fill my stomach with junk food from now on. I'll forever be free from the table manners you taught me. Serves you right. As we drove, the scenery began to change. Soon we were surrounded by vast fields of crops and few streetlights. It reminded me that this was just the countryside of Japan, not Europe.
お腹は空いてないですか？どこか飯の食えるところへ寄りましょうか。
マクドナルドをお願いします。
食事してるからいい。
I lied. I'm actually a bit hungry. I didn't eat much at dinner to avoid slowing myself down with a full stomach. I appreciated Kasai's offer, but I didn't feel like taking the time to eat while we were still in enemy territory.
この時間ですから高速に上がってしまうとサービスエリアへ寄っても自販機しかないですよ。まあ最近はハンバーガーとかの自販機もありますけどね。そうそう、聞いた話では最近じゃおでんの自販機もあるって話です。
はあ？何それ？コーヒーの自動販売機みたいに器がポロッと出てきて押したボタンの具がボトボトっと落ちてくるわけ？気持ち悪い。
そういうのじゃないらしいですよ。おでんの缶詰になってるそうで、それがゴロンと出てくるらしいんです。
あ、ごめん。缶詰はパス。
缶詰、もう子供じゃないでしょうに。
嫌なもんは嫌なの。うっさいな。もう何笑ってんの？
Kasai chuckled. He must have been trying to help me relax. He isn't usually so talkative.
私は疲れちゃったよ。少し寝させてもらいます。これ、リクライニングどうやって倒すの？
Also, I know I said I was gonna like voice my opinions more as the chapter happened instead of waiting until the end. This sounds like Mion. This does not sound like Shion. I know we've heard her say calm down, Shion. But it could have just been like force of habit of like her being in this private school for so long. But she sounds a lot like Mion instead of Shion, at least in these past few lines.
そっちの左側の根元を探ってみてください。レバーみたいなのがありませんか？
うん、あったあった。よっこらしょっと。
Kasai laughed again.
何か面白いことを話した？
いえいえ、よっこらしょなんていう若くない言葉遣いがどことなくミオンさんに似ておられたもので。
It's just the way you talked sounded like Mion-san. Well, obviously. Mion and I are identical twins. We're perfect copies of each other. When I react to something, so will Mion. When Mion reacts to something in a certain situation, I'll react the same way.
お姉は元気？
多分元気かと。私も親族会議の席に親父さんをお連れするときに少しすれ違う程度ですし。
そっか。お姉はもう実家じゃないんだったね。南沢の鬼ババのとこだっけ？
シオンさんが学園に入られるのと一緒の時期に園崎本家に移られました。
I responded with disinterest, even though I was the one I was the one to ask about her in the first place. The main house is where Oryo, the current leader of the Sonozaki family, lives. That's my grandma, who I call a hag. But when we use the phrase the main house, that usually means more than just a dwelling. What Kasai refers to is the same thing.
少しは変わった？
ミオンさんがですか？
そう。あのばあさんと朝から晩まで顔を合わせてりゃ少しは変わるでしょ。
Kasai chuckled again. He knows I hate my grandma.
私が見る限り変わったようには感じません。シオンさんの知っているミオンさんのままですよ。
私はどう？私は変わった？
いいえ、全然。
Kasai responded quickly with a smirk. Haven't seen him for a while, though. It's not fun if he answers this quickly. I glared at him, and then he burst out laughing. I think we've only seen him once, by the way. And it was back in Watanagashi in Chapter 2. When Mion gave us a ride, I believe, back home. Us being Keiichi. And we saw this dude. He got out of like the car, and I believe he opened the door for us. And that's when we got to see like his portrait. I don't believe he's got an actual portrait right now, but he does have one, at least for the console version.
全然変わっておられませんよ。あれだけのお嬢様学校に入られたのに全く変わらないというのは驚くに。
チェー、好きなだけ笑ってろ。私は寝るよ、寝る。
Yeah, that sounds so much like Mion. Those line deliveries, I know, I'm pretty sure it's the same chick who does both voices, both for Mion and Shion, but they literally sound the same. Sorry, not literally sound the same, but right now she sounds like Mion instead of Shion.
後ろの席に毛布がありますよ。使ってください。
うん、ありがとう。
I grabbed the blanket and rolled up in it. I'm exhausted, but I can't go to sleep. It's strange. Or maybe not. I must be tired from the escape. It's just that I'm still feeling tense. So I have to declare it once again, if only to calm myself.
寝る。私は寝るよ。
はいはい、さっきからもう3回目です。それとも私が許可しないと寝れないんですか？
今日のあんたは喋りすぎ。あんたが少し黙っててくんないと眠気も引っ込んじゃう。
失礼しました、姫君。ではしばらく黙らせてもらいます。
Well, excuse me, princess. Okay, this might be the intro. No, never mind. This interaction with Kasai reminded me of the old peaceful days in Okinomiya. Well, I don't really know if I can call those days peaceful. We were in the middle of a damn protest back then, after all. In the middle of it? Okay. So this is after 1975. Mion is not a child. So this can be... It has to be at least 3 years after 75. Or at least 3 years after the event of Himatsubushi. So, assuming Mion is like 13, then yeah, it's probably around, let's say 1980, just to have an even number. It's either 78, 79, or 1980. It's one of those three. We all united together, and now that I think about it, we pulled a lot of pretty dangerous stunts. If the authorities ever find out what I did, I'd never escape going to juvie. Well, at least half of the people in Hinamizawa would be off to prison. We didn't think of them as criminal acts, though. It was a war. It might also have been a festival. A festival where every person in Hinamizawa joined together in protest. It was a struggle, but it was also fun. It was fun to throw stones at the riot police with everybody. We hid ourselves in somebody's home, and they chased after us. We'd even go go crowd around the police station demanding the release of our arrested comrades. When we snuck into the construction site and sabotaged it, it felt more like we were playing at war than conducting one. I got so excited back then. I felt united with my fellow members, even though they were strangers to me, and that memory warms my heart. Yes, the way it felt back then was like helping everyone to carry a sacred palanquin through the village, getting all sweaty and exhausted together. Jeez. Until we all collapsed face first on the ground and shared our excitement and cheers with the unfamiliar faces over tea. Interesting. I was just a kid back then. I remembered accompanying young men who worked for my dad out to the village to do various bad things. Also, palanquins, you might have seen those before. You know when like royalty would be carried around like a village or throughout a town, and it would usually be like a box that would have 4 little poles sticking out of it, and then like 4 people would carry like the seat that the person was in. That's what it is. But anyway, I was arrested a few times. It didn't feel any different though than when I was called to the teacher's office for forgetting my homework. The other villagers were furious about the dam project, but for those of us who were kids at the time, it's a pretty fun memory. All that came to a sudden end a few years ago. It wasn't only the power of a protest that ended the dam construction project. The Sonozuki family and my dad's organization have worked secretly in the shadows. This is top secret information in the Sonozuki family, but it said that they may or may not have kidnapped the Minister of Construction's grandson in order to blackmail him. The grandson was found a few days after the abduction. He was found in the mountain of Yagochi. He didn't simply disappear, and he wasn't demoned away. That means some kind of deal was made secretly. Wait a minute. So he didn't simply disappear, and he wasn't demoned away. That means that some kind of deal was made secretly. So this implies that the Sonozuki family are responsible for making people disappear in general, and also for demoning people away, or, you know, Meakashi. So that means, or at least it's implied, that every single act of Meakashi was performed by the Sonozuki family. And she knows of this, of course, because she is part of the family, right? It's, you know, it's her family. So she knows the family secrets, obviously. Huh. I guess that kind of goes back to the whole, do you know who Santa Claus really is question of, like, you know, who Oyashiro-sama is, and how, you know, Santa Claus is everyone's father or everyone's parents. In this case, maybe Oyashiro-sama is just the Sonozuki family. And it could, I mean, there's some heavy implications that at least that some of the events that are related to Oyashiro-sama, in this case Meakashi, are perpetrated by the Sonozuki family. Anyway, a year after that, the dam construction plan was halted indefinitely. The police suspected the villagers' involvement and investigated, but they couldn't find any leads. The villagers never betrayed each other. They'd do anything to protect their fellow man. They fabricated fake alibis and fake evidence. It was easy to deceive the police. Ugh. The car suddenly shook, snapping me out of it. It must have run over a bump or something. Interesting. There's a completely new background, and it's red. What about the console version of it? Okay, this is just a generic highway background. mind you, they're still using they've used this asset so much. The asset of the inside of the car, it's the exact same one, and it has been for the past 5 chapters. When I was told they reused that this inside car scene asset a lot, they were not joking. Because like I've mentioned before, this is just like the inside of a car without like anything here in where the windshield is at. Like this is just like transparent. I'm moving my mouse over it and you can't see it, but anyway, back to this. I suddenly realized my expression was a very happy one for some reason. I must be looking forward to going home.
シオンさん、起きてますか？
何？
お帰りですが、沖宮でよろしいですよね。
他にどこに帰んのよ。
I answered straightforwardly with a frown. Kasai then also chose to reply straightforwardly.
シオンさんを全寮制の学園に入学させる決定は、園崎本家当主が下したものです。シオンさんはその学園を抜け出した。どういうことかお分かりですね。
ばあさんの決めた学校が私に合わなかったってだけでしょ。
シオンさん。
わーってるって。うっさいな。
As the head of the Sonozaki family, the Hack's decisions are absolute. They were nothing like, say, the 3-second rule. Worse, the decision to confine me to an academy far away from the Sonozaki family was made before I was even born. Shion was the name they gave me. My sister Mion has a character that means ogre in her name. That was to signify that she was the successor of ogres. In other words, she would be the successor to the Sonozaki family and its ogre bloodline. My name, Shion, has a character that means temple in it. That means that I was destined to take the veil and be confined in a temple. Thinking of that reminds me of how much I hate this name of mine. For starters, the person known as Shion is an abominable being to the Sonozaki family, because it meant the family had 2 heirs. I don't have to cite the countless historical examples to explain. It's easy to imagine how that could prove troublesome for succession. According to our long-held family traditions, one of the twins was to be strangled to death right after birth. Unbelievable, isn't it? What that means is that I have to be grateful just to be alive and breathing to this day. I heard the hag actually put her hands around my neck after I was born. I don't know what exchange took place in that moment. Maybe some brave relative of mine managed to get her to stop. Or maybe she was in an extremely good mood that day. Then don't try to strangle me. We're twins. There are no apparent differences between us. But the first one out of my mom's stomach was named Mion, and the second one drew the short straw and got the name Shion. Everyone else was desperate to tell us apart, but we sisters just found that awfully ridiculous. There wasn't any difference between us. No one could tell us apart, even if we only swapped hats. We wondered why all the grown-ups are trying to see the differences. Well, our fun as twins didn't last forever. One day, they created an undeniable clear distinction between Mion and Shion. Mion went to the main Sonozaki house to live with the hag and to learn how to become the successor, and I was to be confined at St. Lucia's. I have no objection to Sis's inheritance. I used to be jealous, but now I feel that having to learn about and follow the traditions would just make me tired. I even feel sorry for Mion. So I'm not going to be a threat to the family, even if I'm back in Okinomiya. But the hag doesn't seem to think that way. She thinks of me as some kind of evil omen. That's why she wanted to keep me away from her. It doesn't matter to me. I don't want to see her face either. I don't care if she doesn't allow me to enter Hinamizawa. She can charge me 10,000 yen per step I take there. But I want her to let me live in Okinomiya where I grew up. When I was little, I was in Hinamizawa, but I don't remember much. And I'm not very attached to it. I do have good memories of my elementary school days in Okinomiya. The town isn't very sophisticated, but I kind of like it there.
沖宮の町へ帰れば、親族の誰かの目に触れることになります。やがては必ず本家の知るところになります。
ばあさんの耳に入ったらどうなるかってこと？まあそりゃやばいことにはなるかもね。
お分かりならいいんですがね。
なーに、葛西。あんた今から私に引き返してあそこへ戻れって言ってるわけ？
まさかそんなことは言いませんよ。私が言いたいのは、
相応の覚悟はあるんだろうなってことでしょ。
口先だけでなく本当に理解してるんならいいんですがね。
そうだろうね。万が一の時は脱走の手伝いをした葛西も責任は免れないだろうしね。葛西も小指に未練があるなら今のうちに小指にいっぱいキスをしておいた方がいいんじゃない？
Oh, right.
その時はシオンさんもすまきにされて鬼が淵沼に放り込まれるくらいの覚悟をしてくださいよ。ああ、あるいは本家離れの秘密部屋送りかも。
In the garden. So there is a torture chamber beneath the main house. We know there's one off the beaten path, underneath one of the bunkers. But seems like there's currently one as well, just underneath the main house. I heard there's a big torture room in the main Sonozaki house. I've never seen it though. I heard they used to torture and kill enemies of the village there. Unless the bunker that's super far off somehow connects, like it goes down far enough and then back to the main house. And that's where the main torture chamber is. Anyway. It's just awful, really. I hope I don't end up as a victim of that place.
はいはい。ま、なんとかなるって。
つくづくシオンさんは姉さんに似ている。その出たとこ勝負的なところが特にです。
そりゃ似るでしょ。実際の母親だもん。
My dad and mom will be furious if they find out about my escape. I'm more afraid of them than the hag. I don't want to go into details, but my dad is part of the Yakuza. He's in charge of the organization which covers the Shishibone area. He's in a very important position. So is Kasai here. He's an old friend of Dad who really trusts him. I don't know if it's true, but I heard Kasai used to be very aggressive, though he's gentle now. I also heard he has tons of scars. He was in charge of a few large areas, but after he was injured badly in a fight, he retired. Now he's my dad's consultant, aka drinking buddy. He was my caretaker in my childhood, and now I feel like he's my butler. At first, I thought my dad asked him to supervise me, so I hated him. But in time, I started to feel like he was on my side. This is just a hunch, but I think Kasai used to be in love with my mom. My dad, mom, and Kasai were in a love triangle. Though my dad took the lead in the end, Kasai couldn't leave my mom entirely, so he stayed around as my dad's friend. And do remember, in this situation, Mion's mother had the last name of Sonozaki, meaning that her dad married into the family. It wasn't the mom marrying into the dad's family. And if I recall, in the Sonozaki household, the women tend to have a lot more power, just overall. Anyway. Here we go. Here's his portrait. I didn't remember if he had a classic sprite, but it seems like he does. Here's the console version of it. And then this horrible, disgusting thing. My god. His tie is neato. It's different in all of them, by the way. So here it's like tie-dye. Here it's just, stripes. And then here it's skulls. Anyway. I can tell that from the way he acts, he's seeing my mom in me. That's why he says I look like my mom every now and then. It kind of gives me the creep. It kind of gave me the creeps at first, but he isn't a bad guy. He isn't a bad guy at all. He's actually pretty funny. I only found that out after I got used to him. So when I thought about escaping, I naturally turned to him. I contacted him in an early stage of my plan and arranged to meet him today. You could call him a conspirator. It's not surprising he's worried about my return to Okinomiya. Considering the rules and traditions, cutting off his pinky isn't too far from reality. I might be rolled up in a futon mat and thrown into the swamp for real, though. Even so, there's only one place for me to return. I'm going to Okinomiya and nowhere else. That's my hometown. This might be a kind of homesickness, but I don't care what it looks like.
実際どうするつもりです？園崎一族の目はそこいら中にありますよ。
まあ最初はのんびり隠れながら過ごします。仮に姿を見られたってミオンだって言い張ればいいんだしね。
それから
でほとぼりが冷めてきたら私に近しい親類から徐々に打ち明けていく。私に味方になってくれる人たちだってそこそこにいるからね。私も親父と大喧嘩した時、あちこちでいろんな人にかくまってもらったし。
なるほど。味方と既成事実を十分に作り上げてから最終的には園崎本家にもおめこぼしをもらおうというつもりですね。うまくいきますかどうか。
行くって。そもそも私を学園送りにする決定だって結構みんな反対してくれてたもんね。あれは私をやたらと嫌った鬼ババの猜疑心からの決定みたいなもんだったし。葛西もそう思うでしょ？
ええ、まあ私もあの決定にはさすがにやりすぎとは思いました。
鬼ババはとっくに更年期障害で正常な思考なんかできなくなってんの。あのダム戦争の興奮で頭がいかれちゃってまだその時の興奮が抜けきってないんじゃないかな。たく。
Kasai smiled. I couldn't go to sleep after all, even though I was rolled up in a blanket. Even though I told Kasai to shut up, I kept talking to him. In time, I got tired of talking. As I could feel the car run smoothly on the highway, Kasai spoke to me again.
シオンさん、ほら。
I was so tired that I ignored him. I wondered what he wanted me to look at, but I wasn't that interested. Yet I opened my eyes slightly and saw a sign quickly pass by. Kasai probably wanted me to see that sign. It had an illustration, it had an illustration of azaleas around the letters that said, "Welcome to Shishibone City. My hometown is coming right up." Chapter 5. Meakashi. What is this, like a reality TV show from the 2000s? Shion Sonozaki. Keiichi Maebara, Rena Ryugu, Mion Sonozaki, Sadako Hojo, Rika Furude. Akane Sonozaki. Rumiko Chie. Kyosuke Iri. Oh man. I didn't read all the other names, but remember that the intro can play at any moment. Oh, here it is. Oh no, look away. I think it's safe for me to open my eyes now. I'm gonna assume it is. Okay, yes, we're at the tips menu. That shit always catches me off guard. Every fucking chapter. It's like the intro's coming. It's coming at some point. Oh, it's here. The intro is here. Anyway, I didn't see what that what the tip name was, so we're gonna quickly look at it. I don't know if it's 1 or 2. Oh, it's 1. The Notebook's beginning. Or the Notebook's beginning. June 1982. Satoshi Hojo disappeared several days after the Watanagashi festival. There were 3 possible reasons for his disappearance. One possibility is that it was an accident. Dead bodies sometimes end up in irrigation channels a few months after hit-and-run incidents. But since the police did a thorough search of the area and hadn't found his body, this possibility seems small. The second possibility is a self-motivated disappearance. Satoshi-kun had been living in dire circumstances. His close friends actually heard him imply he might run away. The police thought he skipped town after killing his aunt. That seemed plausible, considering that aspect. But the police arrested another person for the murder, so this hypothesis must also be considered false. The last possibility is that he was involved in the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. It's also called the Curse of Oyashiro-sama. He fell victim to it and disappeared. Unless Oyashiro-sama's occult power is actually verified, this curse must be the act of humans. It's only natural to assume that Satoshi-kun was made to disappear by someone's will. So the question is, whose? The possibilities are quite limited. The culprit is either a member of the Sonosuke family, a member of the 3 families, or one of their many relatives. The police can assume that easily. I need to think beyond that. Who did it? How did it happen? And why did it have to be done? Actually, this is probably very important. The culprit is either a member of the Sonosuke family, a member of the 3 families, or one of the many relatives. So who made Satoshi disappear? Because remember, going by Keiichi's logic, Satoshi was planning to run away, so he killed his aunt to give Satoko a better life, and then ran away with the money that he had saved up. But what if that didn't happen? What if he did kill his aunt, but he was made to disappear? And if so, who did it? And why? Anyway. Why did Satoshi fall victim? What was the motive? Who gave out that order? Who actually did it? The mastermind, the culprit, and the truth are all in reach of my grasp. Maybe I'll find them right behind my back. But even so, I can't reach everywhere. There are parts of my back I have to make an effort to reach, clenching my teeth and cracking my joints so that the tip of my fingers can barely touch them. The truth is hidden in places like those. I'm writing this because I need to organize my thoughts and memories. Nobody will read it other than myself, but if somebody does, that means that either I threw these notes away because I no longer needed them, or I fell victim to the curse of Oyashiro-sama in the middle of my attempt to solve the mystery. If it was the former, that's okay, but if it was the latter, please, I want you to help me. Please help this powerless young girl. Powerless young girl. Shion. Are these Shion's notes? I thought it was gonna be... Sorry, I thought it was gonna be... Akasaka or Oishi. Oh boy. Also, remember, this chapter was supposed to take like 30 minutes. It took 50. And excluding my slight ramblings here and there, which, you know, took about like 5-10 minutes at most. Like, this took way longer than expected. But we'll try to get another one in. We'll see how long that takes. I want to go for at least 2 tonight. It is 1982. Oh boy. Oh no. I was wrong. The 4th year of the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa, also known as Oyashiro-sama's curse, 1 year prior to Keiichi Mayabara's transfer. Okay. I didn't hear a wake-up chime. I'm not in school anymore. My brain is half asleep, but I'm aware of that. Waking up at the same time as the chime would go off at school, it doesn't feel good. Also, new background? An unfamiliar ceiling? Can't go back to sleep after this. Still, I'm not going to live a torturous school life anymore. I can make today either happy or boring. It's up to me. Yay, that's really positive. I feel like I'm alive for the first time in a while. I didn't have any other clothes, so I was still wearing the school track uniform. It's supposed to have been designed by some famous Italian person, but it just looks plain to me. It really doesn't feel great to still be in clothes from that school. I want to enjoy my freedom as soon as possible. I especially don't want to walk around outside wearing it. I should have Kasai bring me some new clothes later. And I should think of redecorating this room. After all, this is going to be my castle from now on. There's a room in a gorgeous apartment building in the suburbs of Okinomiya. The property is one a realtor my dad's conglomerate obtained after foreclosure due to some sort of dispute. Most of the residents have moved out during that, so while there are plenty of rooms, it's a lonely complex that feels devoid of people. Plus, with the exception of the manager and a scant one or two others, all the residents are shady-looking people connected to my dad. It probably won't be much longer before the virtuous residents are driven out. The apartment I'm living in used to be the room they'd use for viewings, so it looks like a room in a business hotel. It's fully furnished, but lacking in daily necessities. I'll buy those things over time, though.
むしろその方がいいよね。自分の部屋っていう実感が湧くし。
I nodded to myself. Might have looked stupid, but it helped psych me up. At the school, there was a TV only in the common room, and we weren't allowed to watch any cable channels. I zapped through all those channels as a form of emancipation. It was early in the morning, so nothing interesting was on, but I enjoyed it anyway. Commercials are fun to watch. Kasai dropped by with lunch right when I started to feel hungry.
シオンさん、おはようございます。昨夜はよく眠れましたか？
ソファーに毛布でゴロ寝は結構辛いです。やっぱ日本人はちゃんと布団敷いて床に寝ないとね。たくあんが美味しい。
それはよかった。後で必要なものを教えてください。可能な限り揃えるようにします。
ありがとう。あ、でもそんなに気を使わないでいいです。私の好きで始めた生活だし。葛西だってたかられたらお財布持たないでしょ
I have to be serious about my plan. I can't let myself take advantage of Kasai's wallet forever.
バイトでもしようと思います。生活費くらいは自分で稼がないとね。私が選んだ生活なんだから自分で何とかするのは当然。
それはたくましい限りです。でもいいんですか？外を歩けばやがては親族の誰かに見つかりますよ。
Also, before I forget, this is the year right before Keiichi moves in. It's 82. Which means that we had the dismemberment incident. That was the first one. With the damn foreman. We had the incident where Rika's parents were killed. Both the priest, like, you know, was poisoned or whatever, and then the wife, like, went to the swamp and then just died, like she drowned herself. Then we had the third incident in 91, which was, we're actually in this year. That'll probably happen this year, which was Satoko's parents, her aunt and uncle. Actually, her parents died beforehand, didn't they? There was 4 incidents. Wasn't I'm not remembering well off the top of my head because it's been a while since I've thought about this. But if it's not Satoko's parents, it's yeah, Satoko's parents fall from a high place. They were pushed off like a railing while overlooking like some chasm or whatever, like in the mountains, and they died. So that was in 91, and then now in 92, it's gonna be Satoko's aunt and uncle that are gonna be killed, and one's gonna disappear, or both are gonna be killed. No, her aunt dies, her uncle disappears, and Satoshi disappears. So that's gonna happen this year.
そこは少しは考えてある。そこでミオンの力がいるわけよ。葛西さ、本家に電話してもらっていい？ミオンが出たら受話器変わって。
やれやれ、何を企んでるやら。どういう作戦ですか？
Kasai dialed the number. It's funny to me that we're calling the main house even though that's the place I most want to avoid at the moment.
もしもし。
おはようございます。ミオンさんですか？ご無沙汰しています。葛西です。ええ。おはようございます。少しお待ちいただけますか？今受話器を変わります。
I take the handset.
もしもし。私が誰だかわかります？その声は、でもそんなはずは。シオンはセントルチーア学園に幽閉されてるはず。そんなはずはない。学園では外部との電話は禁止だからね。それが電話してきたってことは血の巡りの悪いお姉でも意味がわかるでしょ。あんた学園抜け出したの？どうやって？そんなことはどうでもいい。会いたかったですよ、お姉。
That was as far as I could take it, and Mion had hit her limit too. We both burst into laughter, unable to keep up our act. It's been a while since we laughed out loud with each other like this.
久しぶりだよ、シオン。あんた本当にどうしたの？どうしたもこうしたも。別に私は嘘を吐いてないです。って、じゃああんた本当に脱走したの？やる。私を閉じ込めておくにはちょっと警備が甘かったかもね。学園はシオンが穏便に脱走したことに感謝するべきかもね。本気のシオンだったら全施設を爆破してから脱走するくらい朝飯前かも。爆破はできないけど放火くらいはやるかもね。
Kasai smiled at us in amazement, his face a blend of amusement and exasperation.
おね、今は電話大丈夫なの？大丈夫。バッチャはお稽古に行っちゃってる。今日は帰りは夕方になるって言ってた。それは好都合。近いうちに会って話をしましょうね。とりあえず今日のところは電話で。うん。本家に学園から私が脱走したっていう連絡は来てます。んや？来てない。本家の電話も来客も全部私が通すから、私を素通りしてバッチャに連絡行くことはない。
うん。
だから来てないって断言できると思う。ほう。
Also, hey, Lethal Cade, over on the kick side.
そりゃすごい。さすが園崎本家次期当主。私はそんなの嫌だよ。シオンが変わってよ。鬼がついてるのはお姉でしょ。まあせいぜい頑張ってください。陰ながら応援いたしております。まあそんなことはどうでもいいや。すごい人事っぽい言い方だな。まあいいや。私関連で何か動きがあったら葛西に連絡をよろです。ここの番号はお姉には教えてもいいかなと思うけど、しばらくは内緒にしときますね。ごめん。そうだね。 学園脱走したって話がバッチャの耳に入ったら、いろいろ連絡の件は了解。何か動きがあったら葛西さんに伝えとく。ありがとうです。それとあと、お姉にお願いがあるんだけど。
Can you send me a mattress?
そう来ると思った。
Or a futon in this case?
あ、お金は無理だよ。さすがにお金を無心できるとは思ってません。お姉にはちょっと私のバイトのお手伝いをお願いしたいんです。なるほどね。そういうことか。で、具体的にはどうするの？
We can communicate fast in a situation like this. We don't have to get into details because we know what's on each other's minds.
吉郎おじさん、私の味方だったじゃないですか。吉郎おじさんの持ってるお店のどれかでバイトできないか打診してみます。で、シフトが決まったらお姉に連絡しますから。あんたがバイトしてる時間帯には消えてりゃいいわけだね。めんどくさい役だな。何ですかお姉。双子の妹の頼みを断る？本当に？いいよいいよ、引き受けるよ。あんたの頼みは断ると後が嫌だ。
So... I'm trying to think about this. There's no way the school doesn't report Shion is missing. And there's no way they keep up this charade for a whole year. For 2 years. Even. Where whenever Shion's supposed to be working, Mion just disappears. Right? Where she just says something like, "Hey, Uncle so and so needs me to work, so I'm gonna work at his place. These are my hours." There's no way they keep that shit up for 2 years. I don't believe it. Because if that's the case, then it could be that I don't know that during any of the previous chapters, they could have technically swapped out at any point. Thank
you です。今度シュランクベルタのケーキでもおごるから。可愛いタルト山ほど食べさせてあげますから。あ、シオン、シュランクベルタね。去年の秋に店閉じちゃったんだよ。え？あ、そうなんだ。うん。マスターが脳梗塞で倒れてね。退院してから一度は店を開けたんだけど、やっぱり体が持たないらしくてさ。惜しまれたけど閉店しちゃったわけ。そっか。そりゃあ残念です。欲張りモンブランをお腹いっぱい食べる夢はもう夢のままで終わっちゃったんですね。
I was disappointed that my favorite cake shop had closed down, but more so that this town had changed without my knowing while I was gone. It was kind of regrettable.
他にも変わったこと、私の知らないことある？
Yeah, I agree, but do remember that at least in this series, currently, at least the way the stuff is structured, you have Hinamizawa, which is a little mountain village that's like 20 minutes away from the town at the bottom of the mountain, which is where Shion is currently at in Shishibone, or in the Shishibone prefecture. So it means that, because we had something like that happen, if I recall, in the second chapter where Shion was introduced, we had Mion, quote-unquote, disappear or not want to hang out with us because she had to work at her uncle's place. Which would mean that, you know, she was maybe tagging out so Shion could do something. But I'm trying to think if they would still do that a year later. This is 1982, and the events of Watanagashi are 1983. So I'm not sure if that would even happen, or if they would go that far for as long as, you know, as long as it takes to get to that chapter. Huh. Because again, at least at the start of this chapter, she ran away from her private school, from an academy. So there's no way they didn't tell her father or her mother or her grandmother in this case, hey, by the way, your child ran away. Good luck with that. So I'm not sure. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud. But anyway.
いくつかある。今度会ったら全部話すね。ありがとう。私も学園で見てきたこと全部話しますね。近いうちに機会を設けましょう。追ってこっちから連絡します。うん。わかった。ミオン？何？元気でやってる？もちろん。ならよかった。切るよ。うん。じゃあね。
It's really been a while since I last talked to her. I put down the phone and heaved a sigh as Kasai brought in some tea.
結局どういう話になったんですか？
吉郎おじさん、私のことを可愛がっててくれたじゃない？おじさんにね、私が学園を抜け出してきたのを打ち明けようと思います。で、おじさんの持ってるお店のどれかでささやかに働かせてもらえたらなって。
人目に触れますよ。吉郎さんはいいとしても他の親類に見つかるかもしれないじゃないですか。
そのためのお姉ってわけよ。私が働く時間が決まったらお姉に連絡する。で、お姉は私が働いている時間にはちょっと人目を忍んでくれればいいわけ。わかる？
Kasai looked puzzled. It's not really that difficult to
つま
grasp.
り簡単。バイト中に私が何か咎められるようなことになったら、私がミオンだと言い張ればいいだけの話なんです。わかり？
Normal people wouldn't buy this kind of plan. But Kasai knows too well how easy it is for my sis and for my sis and me to trade
つくづ
places.
く大胆というか悪知恵が働くというか。
Speaking of, did I? I did. Okay.
いやいや脱帽です。
もちろん褒め言葉だよね、カサイ。
Kasai looked amazed. If things go south, it'll affect him too. Considering the rules of my dad's profession, he won't be able to get away with just a mere apology. That's why he doesn't want me to do anything too risky. I think I have to make it up to him since he helped me escape even knowing that risk.
ああ、任せとけよ。しおんちゃんのことをどうのこうの言うやつがいたら俺が少し締めとくから。
やっぱ吉郎おじさんは頼りになります。おじさんならきっと助けてくれると思ってました。
Uncle Yoshiro pounded his chest with his fist, offering me his assurance. He seemed glad that I turned to him first.
いいんだよ。俺はしおんちゃんの自分の生活費は自分で稼ぎたいっていう気概に金をたかりに来たんだったら本家に突き出してるところだぜ。
ああ、おじさん怖い。
I knew he was reliable. He understood my situation straight away and promised to help.
店長、シフト表持ってきました。ここに置きますね。
One of the store clerks brought out a work schedule. There are many things I'm unfamiliar with written on it.
で、しおんちゃんはどのくらい働けるんだい？
私とお姉の都合次第かな。できたら私の指定する日だけ入れるのが一番いいんですが。
おいおい、そんな虫のいいこと言うやつ面接じゃ会ったことないぜ。
Yeah, right. Man. Because remember, like, as far as we know, in Chapter 2, I don't believe the main family knew Shion was around. And there was only one time where Shion and Mion were in the same place, and that was when Shion walked in with Keiichi to one of her uncle's stores, and Mion was on the other side, and we were teasing her. And that's when the full reveal was that, like, hey, by the way, Shion is real. Like, she's not some, like, persona that Mion made up. She actually has a twin. So now I'm wondering if this has been ongoing literally since this year, since her breaking out of school or not.
まあな、仕方ないもんな。
I'm depending on Mion for my work. Our schedules have to match. Of course, Uncle Yoshiro understood that, but I also knew he couldn't afford a selfish part-timer who only works when she wants to. In the end, he decided to hire me as an office helper, not an official worker. As a temp, I wouldn't have a work schedule. My uncle also decided to pay me out of his own pocket. Oh, that's nice of him.
でさ、生活費が稼げればそれで OK です。
じゃあそういうことで頼むぜ。一応金を払うんだから仕事中はしっかり頼むぜ。あと事務所内じゃおじさんは勘弁な。
はいはい、分かってますよ、店長さん。ふつつかものですけどよろしくお願いしますね。
こちらこそどうぞよろしく。
Once all the business talk was over, my uncle hounded me with all kinds of questions. He asked me things like, what was it like in a prestigious girls' boarding school? And so on. Apparently, there were all kinds of rumors going around about the St. Lucia Academy I was confined to, and everyone was curious about it. I added a few embellishments of my own as I explained how unordinary life at that school was. My uncle looked extremely delighted to hear all the little details about life in the secret garden for girls. Horny bastard. Jeez. Once my uncle was satisfied, it was my turn to ask all kinds of questions. I wanted to know if anything peculiar had happened while I was gone. Won't be able to act like Mion unless I can fill in the gaps. Fill in the gap of information left in the past 2 years.
そんなに大きく変わったことはないな。ダム戦争が終わってからこっちはもうそりゃのんびりしたもんさ。
私はダムの計画中止が発表されて少ししてから学園に行ったからな。私がこっちにいた時はまだほんの少しピリピリしたムードが残ってましたよ。
中止発表の後の1年くらいは同盟も計画は凍結されただけで中止になったわけじゃないって言って真剣。翌年には解散式をやったよ。ひなみ沢の境内で大式典だった。それでダム戦争は本当に終わりだな。
じゃあ私が閉じ込められたすぐ後だ。戦争も終わっちゃってみんなふぬけちゃった感じ。
しおんちゃんなんかはダム戦争は戦争ごっこみたいで楽しかったんじゃないか。子供たちが警察のお世話になるたびに引き取りに行っていろいろいじめられた大人の身にもなってくれよ。
Right.
まあ確かに否定はできないかな。私ら子供にとってはダム戦争はかなり遊べるイベントでしたし。
Uncle Yoshiro seemed exasperated at how differently kids and adults treated the conflict.
そういえばバラバラ殺人なんてのがありましたよね。くっそムカつく現場監督の野郎がバラバラにされたやつ。あれ確か犯人がまだ全員捕まってなかったですよね。捕まったんですか？
ああ、確か初犯がまだ捕まってねえんだよな。そうそう、確か捕まってないはず。
しかもひなみ沢の守り神お社様を祀る綿流しの晩にね。当時お社様のたたりだって騒がれたのを覚えてます。
I can't tell if that's Shion or not.
あれ子供的には結構怖かったな。
Okay, it is Shion.
ああ、お社様のたたりね。その翌年にも起きたんだよな。
そうそう、あれも怖かったですね。何でしたっけ、ダムの賛成派の男が事故で死んだやつ。北条だっけ？
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, the year after too. Okay, so yeah, it was fucking hell. I think that was Satoko. Hold on. Yes. So yeah, so jeez, we had the death of the foreman. Then we had Satoko's parents be
し
killed.
かもまたしてもお社様を祀る綿流しの日に。 これはもうたたりしかありえないってずいぶん騒いだっけ。あれは怖かったです。うんうん。
Yeah, Rika was Furude. The construction manager that everyone hated was killed and dismembered on the night of the Watanagashi festival. That incident on its own was more than intense enough for us kids. Worse, part of his body was never found, which made it almost a ghost story amongst us. We seriously believed that the severed right arm was roaming in search of the body it belonged to. It didn't take long for the rumor of Oyashiro-sama's curse to become a topic of discussion among occult researchers and the like, considering the circumstantial factors. Even so, the rumors faded away after about a year. After the dam project was officially frozen, we held Watanagashi purely as a festival. But the curse struck again. The victim was a pro-dam activist who lived in Hinamizawa by the name of Hojo. He and his wife were on a trip when they fell from a cliff to their deaths. It was considered an accident. Technically, police were still searching for the wife's body. If I remember right, they never did find it, did they? Once again, the man most worthy of Oyashiro-sama's curse fell victim on the night of the Watanagashi festival. So the fuss over Oyashiro-sama's curse rose up again. Until then, Oyashiro-sama wasn't considered very important. At least in the world of us kids, it was just the name of the object of worship in the shrine, nothing more than that. I'd seen boys peeing on the archway, and I once stuck my hand into the offertory box. The existence of a god didn't matter much to us, but after 2 consecutive occurrences, the kids no longer doubted the existence of a curse. We were all shaking in fear of Oyashiro-sama. Everybody suddenly became interested in the old stories about him too. We quietly listened to the musty old stories the elders had to tell, and started genuinely believing in the tales of Oyashiro-sama's miracles, which any of us would have laughed away before. Oyashiro-sama's rules were awfully simple and clear. Enemies treading into Hinamizawa will be cursed. Villagers leaving the village will also be cursed. What defined the village was terribly vague. We were never allowed to leave Hinamizawa village? Was going to Okinomiya still safe? Was a single step enough to be out? Was a 3-day, 2-night hot spring trip still safe? We kids tried to draw a line. It was decided in the end that if you had a house in Hinamizawa or Okinomiya, you were safe, and it was okay to go on trips if you had a house in either area. I know it's weird, but those rules were made up by kids after all. According to those rules, I'd be cursed since I lived at a boarding school in such a remote area. I couldn't say it out loud because I felt embarrassed. But in fact, I was a little scared of the curse.
でさ、その翌年にも起こったんだよな。
やっぱり2年連続ってのは結構きますよね。私は今でもお社様は信じてるな。
シオンちゃん、2年なんてもんじゃないよ。知らないの？
知らないですよ。何の話？
そっか。シオンちゃんはあれの直前に学園に行っちゃったんだもんな。知らないよな。
Uncle Yoshiro grimaced as if he said too much. As though he'd mentioned something I shouldn't know about.
何おじさん。そこまで話を振っておいて急に黙られると面白くないですよ。
まあ、シオンちゃんももう小さい子じゃないもんな。
おじさん、私を見てまだ小さい子供っていうのなら、眼科行くか回し蹴りクラブのどちらかを選んでもらうことになるんですけど。
Who says this to their own uncle? That's so messed up.
もう分かったよ。別に隠しゃしないよ。あったんだよ。その後も。
あったって？おじさん、さっきから何の話
？When I was very little, I always had this tick before I heard something bad. It was like a gnome who lived inside of me was giving me a warning, like he was poking me with a small needle. When I felt this tick before my parents called me, they'd always either chide me or tell me something bad. So I used to run away when I felt it, but my senses seemed to have grown dull over the years. Even though my gnome poked at me, Even though my gnome poked at me, I just sat there.
実は賛成派の北条が転落事故で死んだ次の年にもな。つまりは去年なんだが、またあったんだよ。
Okay, so there's only been 3 murders. Right. Because today is the year, this is the year of the 4th one, and then next year with Keiichi.
あったって、また綿流しの日に ?3 年連続でまた？
そうなんだよ。ほら、ひなみ沢の神社あるよな。古出神社。あそこの神主が
Yeah.
祭りの夜に突然
The priest is the one that
ぽっかり逝っちまってよ。聞いた話じゃ原因不明の奇病で急死したとかしないとか。それもまたしても綿流しの夜に。で、神さんもその晩のうちに沼に飛び込んじまって、村長たちが集まっててんやわんやの。
Crazy. It's the halfway mark, right?
うん。
Okay.
奇病ってのはおひれだと思うけどね。急死したってのは本当。神主さんは綿流しの準備で大変だったと思うし、あの頃は少し体調崩してたみたいだからね。急性心不全とかそういう感じのよくあるやつだったんだと私は思ってるけどね。でも綿流しの日にってのが異常でしょ。それも3年連続で。普通に考えたら人の死がこうも同じ日に重なるなんてことは考えられない。
Are we in a car right now?
警察も検視したみたいだけど、その後に特に騒がなかったってことは死因に不審な点はなかったってことじゃないの？まあでもシオンの言う通り、人の死が3年も続いて綿流しの日に重なるとやっぱり普通じゃないと思うね。それにさっきお姉も言った通り、お社様にたたられそうな人ばかり開始する。これは絶対に何かあります。たたりでも陰謀でも、とにかく絶対裏に何か因果関係がある。
Okay, we were outside. That's why we kept hearing cars pass by. I decided to meet up with Mion at the library near the Okinomiya train station. It's not that I don't trust Mion, but I don't want to let her know where I live. Not many people use this library, so I won't see anyone from Hinamizawa here. It's very convenient for meeting someone in secret. After we discussed my life plan and work schedule, we moved to small talk. I've been away from this town for years. Things have changed. I asked Mion about those changes in detail in order to fill in the gaps. While talking about various things, I brought up what Uncle Yoshiro had told me about Oyashiro-sama's curse. Even before I left town, the curse had already struck twice. The dismemberment murder in the first year left quite an impact. And the year after, the pro-dam activist couple fell off a cliff. On the day the villagers were enjoying their first Watanagashi festival since the dam project was indefinitely frozen. This one also left quite the impact. The evil construction site manager was punished, and the next year, the traitor of the village met the same fate. The traitor to the village. If it had happened only once, people would have concluded that it was just a bizarre coincidence. But when it happened 2 years in a row, people were far more likely to believe it was a curse. I know up to that part, and after I left town, the curse struck again for the 3rd time. People talked about the curse more intensely than ever, both in Hinamizawa and Okinomiya. I have to rethink this. Oyashiro-sama's curse has drastically gained credibility while I was away. It was still unclear with the first 2 incidents, but after it continued for 3 years straight, people's doubts changed to convictions. Even though the priest who died on the 3rd year wasn't an enemy of the villagers, the fact that people in Hinamizawa didn't care for him much added even more credibility to the idea.
神主は確か嫌われてませんでした？
And here's Mion. Look at her. With her little BB gun, or gun of some kind. And once again, her console sprite. And then this thing. Anyway.
同盟の役員から。日和見主義なんじゃないかって叩かれてたね。 戦争末期は同盟内でも過激な理論がまかり通ってたから。
Also remember, in this case, Rika's, because this they're talking about Rika's mother and father, the priest being, of course, her father. If I recall, in this case as well, Rika's mother was the furude in the family, meaning that her father married into the last name. So instead of him being quote unquote committed to the cause, he was, like they're saying, being a fence sitter. So that kind of resulted in this death, or people think that's why he died, because he couldn't pick a side, and he kept wanting, you know, both sides to kind of move on.
神主さんの穏健な態度はそういう人たちにとって気に食わないものだったと思うね。
Yeah, because he's still quote unquote an outsider. Because remember, in Hinamizawa, it's an eye for an eye always. Or actually, it's like they take an eye, you take their arm. It's like whenever they do something bad to you, you do something bad twice-fold, or twice as bad. If they gang up on you with 3 people, you gang up on them with 6, and so on and so forth. So since the priest himself was seeing that, you know, the village was kind of in turmoil, where a dam was going to be built where the entire village would be sunk, or drowned, I should say, and was not retaliating negatively, was not being like, we need to fucking stop these guys. He was being seen like as a coward. So obviously people didn't like that. When if he really was a true member of Hinamizawa, if he really was someone from the village, he would have stood up for everyone no matter what. Like, that's kind of what they're implying. The priest looked strict and scary. The way he spoke was always so formal, but in reality, he was very warm and reserved. Maybe it was because he was a son-in-law, having married into his family. Yes, I'm sure the priest and his personality were the perfect fit for managing the shrine that was used for summer festivals and the village meetings. But that gathering spot style atmosphere of the shrine changed completely when the dam war broke out and it became the headquarters for the Onigavachi Guardians. Prior to the dam protest, hardly anyone worshipped Oyashiro-sama. Of course, the devout elders paid worship to him, but the average person treated our god like how you treat fortune-telling. Once the dam protest began, Oyashiro-sama was suddenly hauled out as the symbol of the village's resistance, tracing the Oyashiro-sama faith back to its roots. It was an exclusive, elitist faith that believed its members were descendant from the holy ancestor, different from the masses at the foot of the mountain, and that those tainted masses should never come near the village. Of course, such self-centered ideology wasn't acceptable anymore in peaceful post-war Japan. So this doctrine was abandoned over time. Still, that idea remained, and they trudged it back up to fan the flames of nationalism and unite the town against the dam project. With the revival of those ideas, things only grew more radical by the day, and it didn't take very long for the Onigavachi Guardians to become aggressive. After that, we were in a state of war. 100 million burning as one. Kill the white savages, want not but victory. Adults and kids both were gnawing at the bit, avid to repel the foreign invaders. Describing it like that makes it sound kind of awful, like a reminder of the dark times of wartime Japan. But like I said before, for us kids it felt like less of a war and more like a village-wide festival. Yet despite calling it a festival, deserters were treated coldly. Dissenters, not deserters. Their heartlessness lived up to the expression, a wartime regime. The Hojo couple and I was about to say, this is Satoko's house. So it's interesting that that they brought us here. Anyway. The Hojo couple who voiced their acceptance of their dam project in the midst of that atmosphere were truly brave. Then on the second year of the curse, they died in an accident, and everyone believed it was Oyashiro-sama's curse without question. So they were branded traitors and enemies of the village. The Hojo couple faced worse than just being ostracized as traitors. Everyone gave them the cold shoulder and talked behind their backs. The only person who didn't treat them badly was the priest. While the priest never objected to the anti-dam movement, he also never objected to the Hojo couple's advocacy for accepting the government's eviction and restitution to rebuild new lives. So, what if Oyashiro-sama's curse, specifically, is just the Onigavchi Guardians getting rid of any possible opposition to their power in some way, shape, or form? By that I mean, if they can unify the entire village under a specific ideal, in this case, you know, the worship of Oyashiro-sama, by making everyone think that there is a curse, if they can unite everyone under that banner and remove anyone that opposes them, such as the priests, such as the Hojos, such as Satogo's uncles, aunt and uncle, such as the mayor as well, then they would have no one opposing them, and they could actually take care of anything that needs to be done. Because Rika is too young for anything to happen. Satoko is too young for anything to happen, right? Like they won't like they have the last name of one of the three major families, but they're kids, right? They're like 7 or 8, maybe 10. Meanwhile, the Sonozuki family can still do whatever they want, for the most part. So what if that's what's going on? And maybe that's like the whole thing behind Oyashiro-sama's curse. Anyway, I'm thinking out loud. Those unforgivable Hojos became the slogan of the three families, especially the Sonozukis. Became a slogan of the three families united the village by turning them into scapegoats. So what I just said, basically. So they must have found it very shameful to have a fellow member of the three families approve of that, especially when it was the priest of the shrine that had become a symbol for the dam projects. As central figures in Hinamizawa, the three families were the backbones of the Onigavchi Guardians, so a difference in opinions was undesirable, and the priest was never accused of anything. But secretly, people whispered that he was a heretic, and that he was unfit to serve as Oyashiro-sama's priest, that Oyashiro-sama's curse would soon strike him down, along with the rumors.
今にして考えると、神主さんって結構大人だったのかもねって思いません？
He was pretty cool, managing to keep his head and remain neutral, while everyone around him grew fervent. I thought Mion would share my opinion when I chimed back in. So when Mion gave me a forced smile and didn't agree with me, I was taken by surprise. Oh. Oh, that's the head of the Sonozuki family, Mion. That's that face that she made when Keiji. Well, anyway, you know what I mean.
本当に大人だったら、あそこは周りに合わせて強調すべきところだったと思うね。ウルデのおじさんは単に神社の神主だっただけじゃなく、仮にも御三家の一つ、古出家の長だったんだからさ。
Was he really though?
南沢全体が結束しなくちゃならない時に、模範となるべき御三家の人間が自分から輪を乱すのは、それが大人と呼べるかどうかは、私には難しいな。
I was taken aback. I barely managed to say the following. Even though we're identical twins, we still had our own unique identities. Every now and then our opinions differed, but usually only over some trivial matter. We've never had a difference in opinions this big. It wasn't an enjoyable feeling. I decided to probe her some more.
お姉の言う協調って言葉がなんだか好きじゃないんですけど。つまりそれって何？村全体を考えて神主さんは自分の考えを隠しているべきだったって、そういう話？要するに全体主義の中でこう主張するなと、そういう話？ 別にそこまでは言わないけど、ただやっぱり御三家の長の一人なんだから、もう少し言動は慎重にしてもよかったんじゃないかって、そういうことだよ。
Mion faltered a bit as my tone grew more like a cross-examination. I realized I was speaking a bit too harshly. What Mion expressed was probably the more mature opinion on our scale. When everyone needs to work together to stand up to a vast enemy like the government, people should refrain from actions that would destabilize that alliance. Writing it out and reading it now, I can understand that. Whoa. Writing it out and reading it now, I can understand that. Meaning... Okay. So the tips and all of this are just Mion's recollection. Or, sorry, Mion writing all of this stuff down as she remembered it. Or as she remembers it. Because something is going to happen to Mion. Sorry, to Shion. But I wasn't mature enough to agree with such a totalitarian idea. Or maybe it wasn't me at all. It was Mion who'd made that mature judgment. We'd been separated for over a year. I'd been away from the town. In the meantime, Mion had been training to take over the headship of the Sonozaki family. Yes, this is something that I was also going to mention. Where maybe Mion has become a little bit more quote-unquote radicalized. Because she has to. She is going to take over the Sonozaki family. So it's kind of expected of her to, well, have this sort of groupthink about her. Because she can't lead a family if she is wishy-washy, right? If she's like on the fence about things. She has to think what's best for the village and stick to it. She'd been treated as such even before I was confined to that institution. She sat next to the hag in ceremonies and in meetings. She took her place when the hag was absent. But that was just it. We were never that different. Mion has become very like a successor since I've been gone.
お姉もいつの間にか大人になっちゃいましたね。
She seemed to get what I was implying.
やっぱり私もバッチャみたいな考え方になっちゃってきたかな。
Yeah.
いいじゃないですか。お姉は次期当主なんだから。いつまでも下々と同じ考え方じゃまずいでしょ。さすが帝王学を学んだだけのことはある。そんなの学んでないよ。どうやればバッチャのふりができるかって、それだけだよ。シオンにだって簡単にできるよ。そんなのやりたくないです。ばあさんのおもりはミオンのお役目。ま、疲れない程度にほどほどに頑張りなさいませ。
I didn't mean to be cold, but Mion seemed to take it that way. She smiled as if trying to pacify me. I smiled gently back at her.
おねえ。ミオン。何？確かに私たちの別離はいつも穏便じゃなかった。名前を引き離され、住まいを引き離され、そして体を引き離された時もいつもね。
Mion looked down with a serious face, but then looked right back up.
あんたは私がそのあたりで逆恨みしてるんじゃないかって思ってるかもしれない。でもそれは誤解。そりゃ確かに確執はあったよ。でもそんなのは時間で流れる程度のもの。あんたが引け目を感じるようなことは何もない。
Up until birth, we were perfectly equal. Right after birth, we were separated by the grown-ups' priorities. I used to get mad about it when I was little. There's no denying that, but we don't have to start a disagreement over it. Mion seemed to understand what I was trying to say. We each have our own characteristics even though we're identical twins. Only we know the differences. We're also dependent on each other because of them. Mion seems more dependent. She always worries about me. If somebody gave her a cookie, she'd divide it in two and give half to me. If somebody gave her candy, she'd wait until I said it was okay to eat it. On the contrary, I'm cold. I don't care about others if I'm satisfied. I'd put the candy in my mouth right away. I have to emphasize that I don't hate her, and I'm well aware that she loves me. We both know that. Mion must have been hesitating to put the candy of the successor in her mouth and was waiting to see if I was okay with that.
頑張れ、ミオン。
Mion must have been hesitating to put the candy of the successor in her mouth and was waiting to see if I was okay with that. So then, did Mion and Shion swap places at some point when they were younger and decided to adopt the other's persona the whole time? As in, the person we're looking at right now is actually Shion, and the person we're playing as is actually Mion. And Shion, or sorry, so as to not confuse us, the person that we're looking at is still Mion, right? And in the words that I'm about to say. So if they swap places, then Mion, who would be Shion as of now, was the shy and reclusive type because she's quote unquote not fit to really lead, right? Because in order to be the head of a Yakuza family, of all things, you have to be cold, right? And calculating and indifferent to people. Could it be that at some point, Mion, currently Shion, knew this, and she just didn't want that kind of lifestyle? And she somehow convinced Shion, currently Mion, the one we're looking at right now, to take her place. I wonder. I'm thinking out loud. For all I know, that never happened. But that line of Mion must have been hesitating to put the candy of the successor in her mouth and was waiting to see if I was okay with that. Unless this is like some sort of ceremony where the successor eats something that signifies that they are the successor or whatever. Or, you know, they gave candy to Mion, who is supposed to be the successor, but they hand it over to the Mion that we're looking at right now, who's actually Shion. And she feels guilty about it because it's supposed to be candy that belongs to Shion, in this case Mion, right? The one that we're playing at playing as in this scenario. Because again, Ryukishi doesn't just like write shit for the hell of it. Like, he wouldn't write, Mia must have been hesitating to put the candy of the successor in her mouth. Like, he wouldn't fucking write that just to be colorful, right? Like, that means something. Oh boy. So yeah, I mean, if it was like a personality or identity swap, I'm not sure. But anyway.
私もシオンを頑張る。
See, I'll do my best as Shion, too. Why would she say that? I tapped her forehead with my fist slightly. Mion put her forehead against my fist as if trying to feel the warmth. She's Mion, and I'm Shion. She's the successor of the Sonozuki family, and I'm just a vagabond. That isn't a distinction, but rather our individuality. We shouldn't worry too much about the other anymore. We should feel relaxed living as who we are with our own characteristics. I didn't have to say any of that out loud. We can communicate by touch just like this.
ありがとう。シオン、頑張ろう、ミオン。困ったことがあったらいつでも相談して。私たちはいつだってそうやってきた。それはこれからも何も変わらないよ。
Mion kept nodding with her forehead against my fist. She's like a cat. Like bumping into you. I said goodbye to Mion before it turned to evening. We had talked about the things that had happened during my time away, and I enjoyed having that chat between sisters very much. We were able to dissolve our unsettled emotions. We didn't used to do that. Maybe it's because we hadn't seen each other for over a year. It was late afternoon. My heart felt lighter now. I stretched and looked up at the sky. The sky was clear, blue, and far away. No matter how tall I grow, I'll never be able to touch that sky. I'm Shion Tonozuki, a girl who escaped from the life she was forced to live. Nobody will praise me for what I did and for what I'm going to do. But this is what I chose.
なんだ、私だって大人な考え方できるじゃない。
I psyched myself up. I should go shopping for dinner. Though I have Kasai's help, I need to save money. I love junk food, but it'd be cheaper to cook. Ironically, the culinary classes from that evil school will come in handy. Why not go to the shopping district in Kamishiki? If I'm going there, then I need to take the other street. The cool breeze in the late afternoon felt nice on my skin. Kasai came to the door while I was putting the stuff I bought into the fridge.
あ、待って待って。今鍵開けます。
It's gonna be her fucking mother or something, or her father, with a gun to her forehead.
お買い物の帰りですか?
Never mind. Can you fucking imagine that? She gets tackled to the fucking floor, gun to her head. So you thought you could just fucking get out of that school, huh? You know what we have to do to you now? And they fucking wrap her up in a futon and drop her in the swamp.
お疲れ様です。
買い物程度で疲れてちゃたまんないよ。
Also, this is a new background, which I don't think we've seen. Super Brain First Live. Oh, her trash can is cute. It has a rabbit. And then she's got a rug, like a tiny rug in the shape of a fish. And then a bear with a party hat. Okay.
あ、葛西も食べてく？一人者にはスーパーの野菜の単位は大きすぎだしね。
よろしいんですか? ご厄介になってもいいものでしたらぜひ。
Kasai looked curious about what I'd cook.
その顔は全然信じてないな。見てろ。
これらは冷蔵庫でいいんですか? 入れておきますよ。
あ、悪いね。
Oh, and now that he's gone, we can quickly look at the console background again. And here we go. Yeah, there you can see the fish a little more clearly. And there you can see the bear. He has a little party hat, which is really funny. Anyway.
二人分だとお米はこのくらいかな。よっこらしょっと。
Kasai skillfully packed the food in the fridge while glancing at each item in turn. He noticed
シ
something.
オンさん、相変わらず缶詰はダメなんですか?
I hadn't bought any. That was, of course, on purpose.
缶詰を避けての買い物はいろいろ大変でしょう。
理屈じゃ分かってんだけどね。無理強いされりゃ食べないこともないけど。それでも私はやっぱりパスだな。
悪かったと思ってます。少しふざけすぎたと思ってますよ。だからそろそろあんなくだらない話忘れてく。
ああ、もううっさいな。男が厨房にチャラチャラ出入りしない。テレビでも見てておとなしくしててよ。
Kasai chuckled and left. I know this sounds stupid, but I hate canned food. If somebody told me there was canned food in the meal I just ate, I'd throw up. It started with a silly thing. Kasai told me a horror story when I was little. One of those urban legends about meat made from an unknown source. Like those rumors about how there's worm meat mixed into burger patties or dog meat in beef bowls. Kasai had fun telling me one of those stories because of how scared I got. He had fun, but I obviously didn't. I even started to cry in the canned food section of a supermarket. That's how much I hated it. I don't freak out like that anymore, but I still don't like canned food. Since I don't like it, I don't force myself, and now I live my life naturally avoiding canned food. One of the big differences between us twins is that Mion doesn't have this issue. Kasai feels responsible for this, but he can't rid me of that fear. Still, a flaw like this is actually a good thing, otherwise I'd be too perfect.
カサイ、机の上の新聞どけて。
いい匂いですね。ごちそうになります。
Right, do remember that Shion is still like the better cook. If you recall in chapter 2, we were given a bento, which is brought over by Shion. And when Keiichi's like, oh, did Mion make this? She's like, no, I made it. Shion, made it. And he's like, ah, right, yeah, Shion made it. Thanks a bunch. Because he still thought that Mion and Shion were the same person. And then when he ate it, it was delicious. Like, he gobbled it up. So, we know that at least she can cook.
量が足りないと思ったら、あとは勝手に牛丼屋さんにでも行くこと。あ、テレビは切らないで。私は静かな食卓ってやつが苦手だから。
では、いただきます。
で、カサイ何の用だったの？何か用事があってきたんでしょ？
I handed him a cup of tea. I could wait until dinner was over, but I wanted to get to the point quick.
食事が終わってからの方がいいかと思ってましたが、食べながらにしますか？
カサイが来た時点でずーっと何の用か気になってるから。先に言ってくれた方がご飯の通りが良くていいかもです。
自宅に学園から電話が今日ありました。
今日？
Well, there it is.
そりゃ遅いね。よっぽど表沙汰にしたくなかったと見えるな。
Yeah, so the school finally fucking told the Sonozuki family, hey, by the way, we can't find your daughter anywhere.
で、どうなったの？
電話は茜さんが取りました。親父さんには後で折を見て話すそうです。
Oh no. Oh, Akane is my mom. That's why Kasai calls her as he's that's what Kasai calls her, as he's known her since before her marriage.
で、母さんなんか言ってた？
I was lucky she answered the phone, since she's relatively on my
仕
side.
方のないやつだと漏らし、こういう結果も決して予想外ではなかったような顔つきでしたね。
Oh boy.
親父にはまだ知らせてないんだ。
茜さんなりにタイミングを測っているんでしょう。多分2、3日中には話すものと思います。
親父はばあさん寄りだからな。耳に入れば自動的にあいつにも伝えるだろうな。で、伝わったら見つけ次第即刻ここへ連れてこい。申し開きの意見によっては指の1本や2本ってことになるだろうね。おっかない子って。
笑い事で済めばいいんですがね。シオンさんの指だけじゃ済まないかもしれないってとこだけよくあちちちち
がっつくからだよ。あ、ちなみに味噌汁もご飯も作りすぎてるからおかわりは強制ね。3杯は絶対食べること。
3 helpings? Oh my god. A few days later, Mion told me that the hag had heard about my escape. Oh boy.
で、ばあさんはどんな感じだった？バッチェはカンカンでさ、もしも沖宮界隈に帰ってきてるなら即刻見つけ次第自分の前に引っ立てろってさ。怖っ。で、実際に親父とかの動向は？近々の親族会議でシオンをかくまってないか問いただすみたいだね。でも若いのに街中を探させるとかそういう真似はしないみたいだよ。
That is terrifying. Holding a family council means that things will remain in the hag's hands alone. She won't search the town for me. It's like she's unofficially approving my presence. Of course, I'll get caught immediately if they find me in a large public place.
母さんが随分暗躍してくれたみたいだね。
I can tell she's being supportive. It's a long story, but my mom is sort of an outlaw, even though she's of the Sonosuke bloodline. A long time ago, she had a huge fight with the hag because she hated the family rules and traditions. She was even excommunicated. My mom was supposed to be the successor, but she was deprived of the title and my sister took her place instead. While she's quiet now, Mom's still an outlaw. She's always been on my side because I also hate rules and traditions.
親父、最初はすっごくカンカンだったらしいよ。母さんがだいぶなだめたらしい。何のかんの言っても、親父は最後には母さんには勝てないからね。オッケー、ありがとう。また何かあったら教えてね。本当の本当にヤバくなったら、私もこの町を離れるつもりだから。葛西とか吉郎おじさんとか、それに母さんとか、世話になった人の顔は潰せないからね。おねえ、あんたが今何を考えてるかわかりますよ。どうして同じ血を分けた姉妹なのに、シオンだけこんな隠れるように生活しなきゃならないのか、でしょ?
Mion was silent. That meant yes. Or that meant yes.
こんな窮屈な思いをするのはフェアじゃないよ。絶対。ありがとう。気持ちだけでも嬉しいです。おね。表に出たい時とかあったら相談して。シオンがいつでもミオンになれるよう協力するからさ。
Interesting. Because again, like, I don't think we've seen a Mion be this nice before. Because now I'm thinking, oh shit, could it be that the Mion from Onikakushi onwards is different? Or was she on this whole time? Or does something happen in 1982 that results in Mion, the one we're talking to right now, that results in Mion changing and becoming a lot more cold and bitter? Because here she's very accommodating to her sister. Very much, she's being very, hey, if you ever need anything, let me know. I'll gladly help you, and so on and so forth. She sounded, apologetic. She sounded apologetic. I shouldn't go quiet or agree with her. She sticks to things a little too much. Once she goes down, she'll stay there for a while. So I just told her simply.
実はそれが一番ありがたいです。じゃあ切りますね。じゃあね。またね。
And then a new tip, a smudge diary. All right, let's go ahead and save. We'll read the tip real quick, and then we'll probably wrap things up for tonight. But all right, a smudged diary. Yeah, because this is Satoko's home. Satoko was crying while hiding behind my back. She's been crying while clinging onto me, so my back was wet with her tears and snot. My aunt had been screaming hysterically, but she looked tired now. I suddenly realized that it was already past 1 in the morning. She vomited out a series of screams one last time, then finally called it quits. This is Satoshi's diary. These are Satoshi's notes. And we're currently looking at a scene involving Satoshi. I suddenly realized it was already past 1 in the morning. She vomited out a series of screams one last time, then finally called it quits. Satoko seemed exhausted. She was looking down in a state of shock. Even after my aunt walked away, she didn't realize she had been freed. So I stroked her head and told her,
終わったよ。Satoko.
It is Satoshi. Satoko twitched. Her eyes grew bright again, and tears rolled down her cheeks. She looked up at my face. she knew it was over, but wanted to hear it directly from me. She begged me with a look. To be honest, I was really exhausted too. So I felt a bit annoyed when she tried to make me say it. But I needed to pacify her, so I gently told her what she wanted to hear.
もうおばさんの小言は終わったよ。だからね、寝よう。
Sadako clung to me while her tears continued to fall. She was crying again silently. Sadako was shivering pitifully. Her small back reminded me that there was nobody else to protect her.
さあ、歯を磨いて、それから布団を敷こう。そしてぐっすり休もう。
Sadako smiled faintly and nodded. I felt dizzy. As I was released from the strain, a harsh drowsiness fell upon me. While Sadako was washing her face, I went to the toilet. I zoned out while watching my pee. In my dizziness, I almost missed a shot. I felt like I was being sucked into the toilet. I couldn't even remember what caused it. Why did my aunt start screaming today? Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Because remember, this year is when her aunt dies. So I guess we're getting, well, the details of like just everything that's going on in the household before her murder, which I assume will happen around chapter 6. I don't know. But anyway, I think this is a good stopping point for tonight.